When God gives you a vision, He deposits something divine within your spirit that no one else can see, feel, or comprehend the way you do. It is not a product of human imagination or ambition. It is born from heaven. A true vision from God is not an idea you think up. It is a picture He plants deep inside you. It is like a seed placed into the soil of your heart. And just like a seed, it must be protected, nurtured, and hidden until the appointed time. Many people lose their destiny not because the vision was wrong, but because they shared it too soon. The moment Joseph told his brothers about the dreams God gave him, envy was awakened. The hatred didn't come because he did something wrong. It came because he revealed something holy before its season of maturity. What you reveal too early becomes vulnerable to voices that were never meant to shape it. Not everyone who listens to you carries your spirit. Some will misunderstand, some will discourage, and some will quietly pray against what they don't understand. There are visions God will show you in prayer that you must keep sealed in your heart until they take root. When you are still learning to walk in faith, you cannot afford to let doubt enter through the ears of others. The people around you may love you, but they may not yet see what God has placed inside you. They may measure you by your present condition, not by your divine potential. That is why you must guard your vision like a treasure. A vision is sacred. It is not meant for debate, validation, or comparison. It is meant for obedience. Sometimes, in your excitement, you will want to tell others about what God has shown you, how He will use you, where He will send you, or what He has promised to do. But the moment you speak too soon, you invite opinions that can weaken your conviction. Every vision needs the protection of silence before it can grow into manifestation. Silence is not weakness, it is spiritual wisdom. Remember, when the angel appeared to Mary and told her she would carry the Son of God, she didn't announce it to the whole village. The Bible says she pondered these things in her heart. Why? Because there are divine words that cannot be explained. They must be lived out. Some revelations are too holy for casual conversation. They need to be covered in prayer, watered with faith, and guarded by discretion. When you protect your vision, you allow the Holy Spirit to build its foundation without interruption. You allow God to work in the unseen. Often, He will test your patience before He reveals His promise. You may feel hidden, forgotten, or delayed, but in reality, you are being prepared. The vision is not dead. It's developing. It is in the dark soil of secrecy that God forms strength, maturity, and clarity. And understand this, not everyone who walks with you is meant to walk into your destiny with you. Some people are only there for a chapter, not the entire story. If you share everything too quickly, you may find yourself surrounded by voices that do not align with the Spirit of God. Protect your vision from mockery, from jealousy, and from premature exposure. There will be times when you'll be tempted to question your own vision because it seems too big for you. But that's the sign that it came from God. He never gives a vision that matches your ability. He gives one that demands your faith. Protect it by trusting Him, even when you don't understand every step. Protect it by declaring His promises, not your fears. Protect it by keeping your heart pure so that nothing contaminates what God is forming inside you. Every great work of God begins as an invisible vision in someone's heart. Abraham saw nations before he had a child. Moses saw freedom before Israel left Egypt. Nehemiah saw the wall rebuilt while the stones still lay in ruin. Vision is the language of faith, and faith always starts in the unseen. So don't despise your small beginnings. Don't explain your dreams to those who are not spiritually ready to understand them. Wait until God gives you the signal. Your vision doesn't need an audience. It needs alignment. It doesn't need applause. It needs prayer. And when the time is right, God Himself will make it known. The secret of your vision is not in what you tell people. It is in what you guard before God. Keep it close. Keep it sacred. Keep it alive. Because the day will come when what you protected in silence will speak loudly before the world. There is a sacred place where heaven meets the human heart, a place where words become power, tears become language, and silence becomes strength. That place is your prayer life. Prayer is not a routine, it is a relationship. It is not a duty, it is communion. It is the breath of your spirit and the lifeline of your faith. When you pray, you are not speaking into the air. You are conversing with the Creator of the universe who listens, loves, and leads you. The strength of your life does not come from what people see in public. It flows from what you build in private. The public power of a believer is only as strong as the private prayer that sustains it. Many try to fight battles in the open that can only be won on their knees. You cannot conquer in public what you have not surrendered in private. Prayer is where power begins. Your prayer life is the secret chamber of your soul. It's the altar where your heart meets God's fire. When you close the door and shut out the noise of the world, that is where your spirit finds clarity and renewal. The world will always demand your attention, but heaven is waiting for your stillness. When you pray, you enter into partnership with the divine. You stop striving in your own strength and start depending on His. There are many who talk about prayer, but few who truly dwell in it. Some treat it like an emergency call rather than a constant connection. But those who know the secret of prayer understand that it is not something you do when trouble comes. It is something you live in daily. Prayer builds spiritual immunity. It guards your peace before the storm arrives. Protect your prayer life from distraction. The enemy does not fear a busy Christian, but he trembles at a praying one. He will use exhaustion, entertainment, and endless noise to pull you away from your altar. He knows if he can silence your prayer, he can weaken your faith. That is why you must guard your secret place like treasure. Make it your first priority, not your last resort. There will be days when prayer feels dry, when your words seem to hit the ceiling, and when your heart feels distant. But even then, do not stop. Prayer is not about feelings, it's about faith. God listens not only to your words, but to your persistence. Every whisper, every sigh, every unspoken groan is heard in heaven. When you keep showing up, you demonstrate trust, and trust moves God more than eloquence ever will. In your prayer life, be honest. God is not moved by your perfection. He is drawn by your sincerity. Tell Him your fears, your confusion, your dreams, and your failures. He already knows, but He wants your heart. Prayer is not an information session. It's an invitation to intimacy. When you open yourself before Him, you allow His Spirit to heal the wounds you've hidden and strengthen the places you've neglected. Jesus Himself showed us this secret. Even though He carried the power of heaven, He often withdrew to solitary places to pray. If the Son of God needed private prayer to fulfill His purpose, how much more do we? The miracles we desire in public are conceived in the secret place. When you pray in the Spirit, you are shaping realities that will one day appear in the natural. You are inviting God to do through you what you cannot do alone. Protect your prayer life from pride. Never let your spiritual discipline become a performance. Prayer loses its power when it becomes a show. It is not about being seen by others, but being heard by God. The quiet prayers you whisper in the dark carry more weight than the loudest speeches made to impress men. Heaven rewards what is done in secret. Protect your prayer life from inconsistency. The strength of prayer is not in its length, but in its regularity. It's better to pray with consistency than with intensity only once in a while. Every day you show up, even with few words, you are building a spiritual foundation that cannot be shaken. When you protect your prayer life, you protect your peace. When you nurture it, you nurture your faith. And when you honor it, heaven honors you. Every answered prayer begins with the discipline to pray when no one is watching. There is power in the secret place. The world may never see the hours you spend on your knees, but they will see the strength that comes from it. Your quiet prayers will produce loud victories. Your hidden worship will bring open favor. Protect your prayer life, because it is in prayer that God shapes your destiny, renews your mind, and gives you the strength to walk in divine purpose. Every believer must walk through seasons when faith is tested, when prayers seem unanswered, and when heaven feels silent. These are not moments of abandonment. They are moments of divine construction. God does not test your faith to destroy you. He tests it to reveal what He has already placed within you. The secret of your faith battles is that they are not signs of weakness, but evidence of your calling. The greater the destiny, the greater the battle that precedes it. When you face trials, do not rush to explain them or expose them to everyone around you. Faith battles are sacred. They are private classrooms where God teaches you what no sermon can. They are moments when He strengthens your spirit, sharpens your discernment, and trains your heart to trust Him beyond understanding. The mistake many believers make is announcing their warfare before the victory is born. There are seasons when God calls you to fight in silence, not because He wants you to hide, but because He wants to shield you from unnecessary noise. Not everyone will understand the storms you walk through. Some will misinterpret your silence as weakness. Others will question your faith. But remember, your battle is not for public explanation. It is for personal revelation. The lessons learned in private warfare produce power that no crowd can imitate. David fought lions and bears in secret before he faced Goliath in public. Had he failed in private, he would have never stood victorious in public. Your hidden victories prepare you for open triumphs. Sometimes your greatest faith battles happen when you are doing everything right, praying, obeying, serving, yet nothing seems to move. You cry out, but heaven is quiet. You believe, but circumstances grow worse. This is where faith graduates from theory to truth. Faith is not believing because you see. Faith is believing until you see. God is not ignoring you. He is trusting you with silence. He is molding your character to match your calling. Protect your faith battles from unnecessary exposure. When you share your struggle too soon, people may speak words that plant doubt instead of faith. Some will pity you, others will criticize you, but very few will truly pray with you. That's why some seasons require secrecy. In the dark places of life, when no one understands, that's where faith matures. Your tears become prayers, your questions become worship, and your weakness becomes the doorway for God's strength. When you walk through fire, don't complain, worship. When you face opposition, don't fear, stand firm. When you feel forgotten, remind yourself that faith is not about feelings, it is about trust. The enemy's goal is not to steal your possessions, it is to steal your faith. Because if he can take your faith, he can stop your future. But if you hold on to faith, even when everything else is taken away, you will rise again stronger, wiser, and more anointed than before. Understand this, every faith battle has an expiration date. No storm lasts forever. You may be in a season of delay, but not denial. God never wastes pain. Every tear you shed in faith becomes a seed that will bloom into testimony. The valley you walk through now will one day become the mountain you stand on to declare His faithfulness. Protect your faith battles by keeping your heart anchored in God's promises. Don't let fear write your story. Speak His word, even when your situation contradicts it. Faith is not denial of reality. It is the declaration of divine truth in the midst of reality. When the doctor says there's no hope, faith says, with God, all things are possible. When doors close, faith says, another door will open. When you can't see the way, faith says, God is still leading me. In your battles, never forget that God is not far. He is fighting with you. When you stand still in faith, heaven moves on your behalf. Your patience in the trial is a form of warfare. Your worship in pain is a weapon. Your refusal to give up is victory in progress. And when the victory comes, and it will come, give God the glory quietly before the world celebrates loudly. The miracle is not just that you won, the miracle is that your faith survived. Because it's not the absence of battles that defines you. It's how you protect your faith in the middle of them. So guard your faith battles with silence, endurance, and worship. Let God write your victory story in His time. For the faith that is tested is the faith that can be trusted. And what you protect in the battle, God will reveal in the blessing. My friend, life is not just a collection of days. It is a divine journey where every moment, every trial, every secret carries eternal weight. God does not only bless the visible parts of your life, He anoints what you protect in the unseen. The world chases recognition, but heaven honors discretion. When you protect your vision, you protect your destiny. When you protect your prayer life, you protect your power. When you protect your faith battles, you protect your strength. When you protect your giving and sacrifice, you protect your blessing. And when you protect your future plans, you protect your direction. These are not just habits. They are holy boundaries that keep your spirit aligned with God's purpose. We live in a time when people want to announce everything, every dream, every plan, every feeling, but God still moves in silence. The greatest works He performs are often hidden, growing in secret places where only faith can see them. Your silence is not emptiness, it is strategy. Your secrecy is not fear, it is wisdom. Because not everything holy should be handled casually, and not every promise should be spoken prematurely. There are things God whispers to your heart that must be guarded like treasures. They are not for social approval, not for worldly validation, but for divine manifestation. If you protect what God gave you in secret, He will reveal it in glory. If you stay faithful in the hidden seasons, He will reward you openly. You don't need to prove what God has already promised. Just walk quietly, pray deeply, believe strongly, and trust completely. The same God who gave the vision will give the victory. The same God who heard your whisper whisper in prayer will let the world see His hand upon your life. So as you leave this moment, remember, not everything God gives you is meant to be shared. Some things are meant to be guarded, nurtured, and grown in silence. Because what you protect privately, heaven will display publicly. Guard your vision, guard your altar, guard your faith, guard your giving, guard your future.